In a deep exploration of love and human psychology, Carl Jung uncovered fundamental mechanisms that shape our relationships. Today, we'll delve into Jung's ideas to understand why others fall in love with you. According to his theories, attraction arises mainly from two reasons: the desire to compensate for personal shortcomings through projection, and the pull of familiarity driven by archetypal images and subconscious patterns. Let's start with the first factor. We'll look at how we try to fill our gaps through projection, breaking it down into four key aspects. The first is the reflection of the shadow. In Jungian psychology, the shadow represents the parts of ourselves we hide, reject, or suppress unconsciously. Striving for wholeness and harmony, we often feel lacking in certain traits. When these traits appear in others, they draw us intensely. This is where love reveals its true nature. The person we are attracted to can mirror aspects of ourselves that we either refuse to acknowledge or are unaware of. That sudden, strong interest in someone often reflects our unconscious, hidden qualities showing up in the external world, especially those we see as ideal or perfect. Projection of the shadow causes us to see in others what we lack inside. For example, an introvert who feels uncomfortable in social settings might fall for a lively, confident extrovert, admiring and longing for qualities they themselves suppress. Within each of us lies a latent character, the traits of the person we love. If we don't develop or accept these qualities ourselves, we seek their reflection in others. This pursuit of wholeness makes love a drive for self-improvement. However, this reflection isn't always positive. Sometimes we project negative traits onto another person, traits we're repressing or refuse to accept in ourselves. At the beginning of a relationship, projection works especially strongly. We see the partner as a perfect, magical being, ideal and extraordinary. But as time passes, the projected shadow begins to fade, revealing the real person. Disappointment can follow. When the true nature of the partner emerges, we can no longer fill our gaps through them. That's when relationships either deepen or fall apart. True love happens when projections end and we accept our partner as they truly are. Reflection of the shadow is one of the most fascinating mechanisms of love. By seeking others to fill our inner voids, we often see our own subconscious mirrored in them. But if this awareness doesn't happen, love risks remaining superficial, potentially leading to disappointment over time. Carl Jung's approach to love sees it not just as an emotional experience, but as a deep psychological process. To understand why we fall in love and what our preferences are, we need to recognize our own shadow and bring it into consciousness. True love begins where projections end. Another key concept is the projection of the anima and animus. Jung developed these ideas to describe the inner images of the opposite sex that live inside us all. In men's unconscious minds, there's the anima, representing the feminine side. In women's unconscious minds, there's the animus, the masculine side. These inner figures play a huge role in shaping our romantic choices. We are unconsciously attracted to people whose qualities match our anima or animus, often without realizing it. This attraction stems from a desire for inner wholeness. The anima symbolizes femininity within the male psyche. If a man struggles to accept his feminine feelings and intuition, a strong image of the anima forms, often based on his mother in childhood, which then influences how he perceives women. If his mother was caring and understanding, he'll be attracted to women with similar traits. If she was distant or cold, he might be drawn to women who mirror that emotional distance, trying to resolve unresolved childhood conflicts. Similarly, the animus is the masculine side within a woman's unconscious, shaping her perception of men. If her father was strong and caring, she'll likely be attracted to men with those qualities. If he was indifferent, she might seek out emotionally distant men, attempting to fill gaps in her inner world. Projections of the anima and animus often shape our relationships. We tend to see not the person's true self, but a reflection of our subconscious expectations. When a man falls in love with a woman, he's often attracted to the image of his inner anima, not necessarily her real qualities. The same applies to women in their idealized animus. This is why we often feel drawn to certain types of people. Those who match our ideal partner image formed by our anima or animus. However, these projections aren't always helpful. We can idealize our loved ones, attributing qualities they don't have. Jung believed that genuine love begins only when these projections are overcome. Healthy relationships are built on accepting the other person as they truly are, not on trying to compensate for our own shortcomings. Otherwise, love becomes an illusion, leading to disappointment. To understand why we're attracted to certain people, we need to explore the concepts of anima and animus within ourselves. Only then can love stop being a search for completeness and become a genuine connection based on mutual acceptance. The third aspect involves our desire to complete unfinished psychological development. Human psychology is always striving for growth and self-improvement. Carl Jung believed that our personality is shaped by a wide range of experiences, starting from childhood. However, some psychological aspects remain underdeveloped. These undeveloped parts create an inner emptiness that we often try to fill through love. Without realizing it, we fall for people who seem to complement our missing qualities. Love becomes more than just an emotional bond. It becomes an attempt to heal subconscious wounds. To complete what's incomplete, we choose partners who either embody the qualities we lack or give us a chance to develop them. For example, someone who experienced emotional neglect as a child might fall in love with a person who shows them lots of attention and affection. But this love can turn into dependency, focused on satisfying childhood needs rather than forming a healthy emotional connection. People often attach to their partner not just out of love, but also expecting psychological satisfaction. This creates imbalance in the relationship, turning love into a kind of therapy. If someone was overprotected as a child, they might struggle with independence and be attracted to strong, autonomous individuals who can free them. A person unsure of themselves or hesitant to make decisions may fall for someone decisive and courageous, subconsciously hoping they will guide them and compensate for their insecurities. But there's a danger here too. Full dependence on a partner can lead to losing one's individuality instead of healthy growth. The desire to complete unfinished aspects isn't only about emotions. It also involves the structure of the personality. Someone lacking discipline might be attracted to organized people. Someone who finds it hard to express feelings may fall for an open, emotional partner. While such relationships may seem harmonious at first, over time they can lead to dependency rather than personal development. True psychological growth happens when a person completes their development with support from a partner. Jung believed that psychological growth is a lifelong process, and love is one of its key catalysts. Real love is about mutual growth, awareness, and overcoming shortcomings, not expecting a partner to fill our gaps. When we fall in love, our subconscious seeks to finish what was left incomplete. Our shortcomings, suppressed emotions, and undeveloped childhood traits shape our relationships. But true maturity occurs when a person achieves this development on their own. Often, people try to fill their gaps at the expense of others, rather than working through their own issues. According to Jung, love is a mirror, a tool that helps us complete our psychological growth. If we experience love consciously, it becomes a source of independence and a deep, meaningful experience that allows the individual to realize their true self. The fourth aspect involves idealization and the search for perfection. Jung's theory suggests that we often idealize love, trying to compensate for unconscious shortcomings. During this process, we don't see the real person we love, but rather an idealized image created by our mind. We start perceiving them as a perfect figure, someone who completes us and is flawless. However, this idealization can create illusions about love and may lead to disappointment later on. It's especially strong at the beginning of a relationship when we tend to see our partner as extraordinary and ignore their flaws. They become a sacred figure, compensating for our inner deficiencies. But love then becomes a mental projection rather than a genuine connection. We seek perfection in a partner, something we can't achieve ourselves, and expect them to be without flaws. Yet no one is perfect, and over time, this ideal image tends to break down. This quest for perfection often stems from childhood experiences and the idealization of parents or other important figures. If a child idealized one parent as they grow older, they may unconsciously look for a similar figure in their romantic life, believing their partner should also be perfect. This makes it difficult to build healthy relationships because real love involves accepting someone with all their faults. Another aspect of idealization is perceiving love as a powerful emotional experience. We see in the beloved not only external qualities, but also a means for spiritual growth. Love becomes more than just a connection. It turns into a search for meaning and inner fulfillment. However, such love is unstable because it depends entirely on external sources of happiness. When a partner doesn't meet expectations, disappointment arises, and love can suddenly end. The pursuit of perfection is often an attempt to avoid our own shortcomings, and many of us cling to this illusion. True love, on the other hand, arises from accepting a person in all their manifestations, not from an idealized image. We fall in love not just with someone, but with an ideal image created by our subconscious. When this idealized love confronts reality, difficulties emerge, and the nature of the relationship changes. From Jung's perspective, the genuine meaning of love is revealed when we stop projecting our inner world onto others and accept them fully, flaws and all. At that moment, love ceases to be a struggle and becomes a journey of mutual realization and growth. Now let's move on to the second key reason: attraction to familiar archetypes and subconscious modeling. We will explore this reason by dividing it into 4 parts. The first part discusses the role of archetypes and their place in the human psyche. Carl Jung believed that archetypes are the fundamental building blocks of our psyche. They are universal images and patterns that emerge from the depths of the unconscious mind. Archetypes represent basic forms of human experience, shared across history and cultures, residing in the collective unconscious. Throughout human history, archetypes have appeared in similar forms, shaping our inner world and influencing not just individual lives but also societal and cultural structures. These universal images act as hidden laws, guiding our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. They help us connect conscious and unconscious processes. Archetypes are deeply embedded in our psyche due to their connection with both conscious and unconscious mental activities. Jung saw them as symbols representing important figures and events in our lives. Each person interacts with these universal patterns to develop self-understanding and discover their identity. The process of personal growth involves becoming aware of and integrating repressed or unconscious aspects, such as the shadow archetype. Archetypes assist us in understanding the meaning of life, ourselves, and our relationships. Each archetype offers a kind of instruction, guiding us on our inner journey. One of Jung's most significant insights concerns the role of archetypes in love and relationships. We subconsciously seek in our partners the archetypes we possess within ourselves. When choosing a loved one, we pay attention not only to physical attraction, but also to archetypal traits that complete or balance the missing parts of our unconscious. Unknowingly, we turn to archetypical figures to fill gaps in our personality, gain confidence, or heal emotional wounds. If the person we fall in love with matches an archetypal image stored in our subconscious, they become incredibly attractive and desirable. Archetypes occupy a central place in human psychology and are a key element of Jung's theory. They are structures that hold a universal position in our unconscious, guiding our inner world and shaping our thoughts and actions. Archetypal images play a vital role in relationships and romantic life. Subconsciously, we seek in our partners archetypical figures that complement our shortcomings and symbolize our emotional needs. However, under the influence of archetypes and projections, we sometimes idealize our beloved, seeing in them reflections of our desires rather than their true essence. According to Jung, love becomes healthy only through awareness and a deep connection with the real person. The second part of this guide explores the unconscious attraction to familiar patterns. In Jung's theory, the unconscious is a deep structure formed by past experiences, social models, and internal archetypes. It contains not only personal memories but also universal symbols and the collective human experience. Even if we're not aware of it, our unconscious mind constantly influences and guides our lives. One key area affected by this is love and attraction. Carl Jung suggested that we are drawn to people and things that make us feel safe and familiar. This pull toward what we know happens beneath the surface, shaped by our unconscious. We try to connect not only with others, but also with our inner world. opening up those deep, hidden bonds. The unconscious plays a vital role in how we perceive the outside world. Our childhood experiences create emotional patterns in our subconscious that influence how we see the world, approach relationships, and choose whom to get close to. Our search for love and care as children sets up subconscious desires for secure attachments and familiar figures. Jung's concept of the shadow is also relevant here. Sometimes we project onto others our unmet emotional needs, fears, or shortcomings, things we might not even realize. These projections are similar to our attraction to familiar faces. In our subconscious, we may see these projections in our partners, often to compensate for their unacknowledged flaws, making them seem more appealing. Myths, legends, and cultural symbols support archetypes, universal images we connect with emotionally. We form internal bonds with these social models. For example, when men are portrayed as strong or commanding, we unconsciously seek out such figures. Similarly, in the collective unconscious, we find images of caring mothers. These social archetypes influence our choice of partners and our attraction to familiar figures shaped by society and culture because they provide a sense of belonging, safety, and recognition. Our attraction to familiar figures on a subconscious level often reflects emotional and psychological needs. We tend to gravitate toward those who make us feel calm and secure. This attraction can be rooted in past experiences or stem from collective, unconscious patterns. To make this process work healthily, Jung recommended becoming aware of your inner world, recognizing your projections, and accepting them. Otherwise, seeking partners to fill unconscious gaps can lead to idealization and misleading projections, bringing false expectations and disappointment into relationships. The familiarity driven by the unconscious deeply influences how love and relationships develop. We are drawn to archetypal figures who fill gaps in our subconscious, soothe emotional emptiness, and create a safe space. That familiarity, combined with trust, fosters a sense of belonging and connection, sometimes without us fully realizing it. However, this connection can be healthy only if we are aware of our projections and build relationships based on genuine understanding. Reflecting on our desire for the familiar helps us develop more conscious, authentic bonds. From Jung's perspective, love and relationships are more than just external interactions. They reflect profound psychological processes operating beneath the surface. Choosing a partner is influenced by subconscious attraction to archetypal figures. The desire for familiar faces reflects our underlying needs, which we seek to satisfy through relationships. However, this process can lead to complex dynamics. Attraction to familiar people often stems from childhood experiences and early attachments. During childhood, we develop feelings of emotional security and belonging through relationships with our parents or guardians. These attachments leave lasting marks on our subconscious mind. Subconsciously, we may want to fill the gaps and heal the wounds from that period through our partners. This desire for familiarity can cause us to idealize relationships. When seeking a partner to compensate for our shortcomings, we might convince ourselves that they are perfect. The pull toward familiar faces can also lead us to repeat past relationship patterns. Carl Jung believed that unresolved issues and traumas tend to replay in our subconscious, so we can confront them. This can be seen as a cycle of repeating karma. If we carry unresolved trauma or emotional emptiness, we might seek a partner to re-experience those feelings. Wanting something familiar is really a desire to relive past experiences, often to resolve emotional shocks. A common manifestation of this craving is a strong emotional bond with a partner. This connection isn't just based on physical attraction, but also on a desire for deep emotional and psychological intimacy. In searching for someone who can fill our unconscious gaps, we're trying to find our sense of identity. This process involves archetypes like the Anima and animus. Jung explained that these figures represent the opposite gender within us. The Anima reflects the feminine side of a man, and the animus the masculine side of a woman. These archetypes guide us toward familiar, comfortable relationships. Unconscious idealization of the Anima or animus can lead to strong emotional attachments. The desire for familiarity is rooted in the need to establish deep connections and to fill internal voids. However, this process, based on past experiences, childhood bonds, and social archetypes, can also involve projection, idealization, and remnants of past relationships. According to Jung, healthy relationships are built on awareness of these unconscious influences and genuine connection with a partner. Attraction to familiar people can help develop relationships, but it's important to consciously manage it. Otherwise, relationships may remain stuck in old patterns, preventing us from forming authentic bonds. The fourth section focuses on attachment to familiarity and psychological growth. Jung's theories are key to understanding how relationships with the external world are formed. When we subconsciously seek the familiar, it's not only about emotional and physical attraction, but also a crucial turning point in our psychological development. Attachment to familiar figures reflects a desire for balance, completion, and growth. It serves as a way to satisfy unconscious needs and unfinished archetypal images from early life. This process encourages seeking safety, but also promotes personal development and transformation. Initially, attachment to familiar people begins as a search for security. Our relationships with parents form a basic sense of trust. We try to fill in past gaps by connecting and repeating familiar patterns. This marks the start of a deeper process. When we recognize familiar traits in a partner, it gives us the chance to heal emotional ties and develop a more unified sense of self. Attachment to familiar figures also triggers the process of finding balance. By engaging with these figures, we confront our shadows, those hidden, suppressed parts of ourselves that we find hard to accept. Carl Jung believed that the shadow can hinder growth, but facing it leads to acceptance and wholeness, which are essential steps in becoming mature. This attachment can help us understand and transform our shadows, explore personal boundaries, and improve self-esteem. Jung's concept of self-respect involves recognizing our own value. While attachment to familiar figures might lead us to cross boundaries, it also offers opportunities to restore and strengthen them, boosting our self-worth. Reevaluating relationships through this lens allows us to meet our needs while maintaining our individuality. Strengthening bonds with partners and safeguarding personal identity supports healthy development. Connecting to familiar figures is a vital part of psychological growth, helping us fill emotional gaps, accept our shadow, find balance, and establish healthy boundaries. Though this process can be challenging, according to Jung's theories, psychological development becomes possible when we confront and integrate unconscious figures. Attachment to familiar people and roles helps us resolve deep emotional ties and build a more integrated self. In this video, we discussed why people are attracted to you from a Jungian perspective. Different opinions exist about the reasons for attraction. Some attribute it to personality, others to environmental factors. What do you think? Do you believe it's more about who you are, your environment, or something else? Please share your thoughts and leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Your opinion matters. Thank you. We'd also love to hear about your personal experiences. Have you ever wondered what qualities attract others to you? Have you noticed that people appreciate your empathy, sense of humor, or perhaps your rationality and calmness in tough situations? Share your observations. This can add valuable insight to our discussion and help others better understand themselves and their relationships. Feel free to ask questions. If you have any doubts or want to learn more about Jung's theories, we're happy to address them in future videos. Your feedback helps us create content that is truly useful for you. Thank you for watching and for your participation.